At a family gathering, my cousin couldn't stop bragging about her perfect man. She even said, "I bet you'll be single forever." But she didn't know that her husband had been texting me, courting me for months. So I pulled out my phone and read the message out loud. The silence was golden. Family reunions have never been my favorite thing to do, but I came to them out of obligation. My aunt was hosting and the house was packed with relatives I could barely see. The smell of roast turkey and baked potatoes filled the air, children ran around screaming and old aunts gossiped in whispers. I was walking to the dining room table to grab a glass of wine when I saw her, Isabella, my cousin. She was loud, messy, and always eager to be the center of attention. Of course, she wasn't alone. Her husband, Ethan, was right there with her, playing the role of the loving husband. Isabella liked to remind everyone how perfect her life was. Her husband was successful, they lived in a big house, and she never had to work. But for a person who had all this, she never looked happy. Her clothes were expensive but wrinkled, her hair was uncombed, and she always frowned when she looked at me. I knew why. For all her wealth, she envied me. I didn't have much, but I took care of myself. My hair was always styled, my nails painted, and I worked hard to stay in shape. I didn't need designer clothes to look good. Isabella never understood how I did it, and it annoyed her. Dinner began, and it didn't take long. Between bites of mashed potatoes, she turned to me with a smile. "Lily, I'm sure you'll always be lonely. It will be hard for you to find a perfect man like me." She laughed out loud for everyone to hear. Some of my aunts giggled awkwardly while others avoided eye contact. Isabella loved moments like this when she could feel superior. I calmly took a sip of wine. She had no idea what was happening. I pulled out my phone, scrolled through the messages, and held it up. "Listen, your perfect man is texting me every day. He compliments my photos, comments on my post. And you don't even notice." The room fell silent. Every fork stopped in midair. Every conversation died instantly. Isabel's face turned red as I slowly scrolled through the messages, reading them aloud. "You looked amazing today, Lily. I wish we could have met sooner. You're incredible. I can't stop thinking about you." Ethan sat frozen, his face pale. Isabella snatched the phone from my hand, scanning the messages as if she could somehow make them disappear. Then, her voice shaking, she spat out, "It can't be true. You seduced my husband. You wanted his attention." I crossed my arms. "Check the timestamps, Isabella. He texted me first. A month ago." Golden silence. Isabella's chair scraped the floor as she sat up abruptly. She turned to Ethan, her hands shaking. He tried to say something, but she stormed out of the house. A second later, he was running after her. Everyone sat in stunned silence, exchanging awkward glances. I picked up my wine glass, took a slow sip, and smiled. After Isabella and Ethan ran out, the tension in the room became suffocating. My aunt cleared her throat, someone coughed, and several relatives awkwardly picked at their food as if nothing had happened. No one dared look at me directly except my uncle, who slowly nodded at me as if he had been waiting for years for someone to shut Isabella up. I finished my wine and got up. I didn't owe anyone an explanation. When I got home, my phone was flooded with messages. Some from distant cousins pretending to be shocked, some from my mom saying I shouldn't have done it in front of the whole family, and of course one from Ethan. "Lily, can we talk?" I rolled my eyes and shut the phone off. The next morning I woke up to more messages. Ethan wasn't giving up. "Please, just listen to me. I don't love her. I think I've always had feelings for you." It was pathetic. He didn't even try to deny it. At noon I got a call from an unknown number. I answered out of curiosity. It was Isabella. Her voice was shaking with anger. "You think this is funny, Lily? You think you can destroy my marriage and walk away?" I gave a short laugh. "Your husband destroyed your marriage, Isabella. I just showed you the evidence." She was breathing heavily on the other end of the phone. "You were always jealous of me. That's why you did it." This made me laugh even more. "Jealous? Of you? Isabella, you've spent years trying to convince people that your life is perfect. If that were true, why would your husband have stalked me?" Silence. Then a click. She hung up the phone. I expected it to end there. But I should have known better. A few hours later, as I was leaving my apartment, I saw her. Isabella was standing by my car, arms folded, waiting. I almost turned around and walked back, but I didn't want to give her that pleasure. I walked straight to my car and pretended she wasn't there. Isabella didn't move. She just looked at me with bloodshot eyes as if she hadn't slept all night. You think you won, don't you? She finally said. I sighed. Isabella, I don't have time for this. She came closer. You ruined my marriage. I scoffed. Your husband ruined your marriage. He pursued me for weeks. I didn't ask for this. She clenched her fists. You could have ignored him. But no, you had to humiliate me in front of everyone. You had to make me look like a fool. You made a fool of yourself, I said. For years you bragged about your perfect life while your husband was out there fantasizing about someone else. That's not my problem, Isabella. It's yours. Her lips trembled, and for a second I thought she was going to cry. But instead she laughed bitterly. You know what's funny? He still loves you. I frowned. What? She pulled out her phone and shoved the screen in my face. It was a message from Ethan. I can't stop thinking about Lily. I don't know if I ever loved you. Isabella swallowed hard. Are you happy now? I stared at the message for a moment and shook my head. No. I just feel sorry for you. She let out a hollow laugh. Don't. I'm not the one he needs. I turned to open the car door, but she grabbed my wrist. Stay away from him, she hissed. I don't care what he said to you. I'm not giving you my husband. I pulled her hand away. Isabella, you've already lost him. I got in the car and drove away, leaving her standing there, shaking with rage. I thought that was the last I would hear from her. I was wrong. I didn't hear from Isabella or Ethan for several days. Frankly, I thought she had finally accepted reality and that Ethan had crawled back to her like a guilty husband always does. And then, on Friday night, I got a message that changed everything. Lily, please. I need to see you. Just one more time. Meet me at Greenview Park tomorrow at noon. It was from Ethan. I stared at the screen, wondering if I should block it. But something in me, maybe curiosity, maybe just a desire to shut him down in person, made me respond. Hey, I'll do it once. And then leave me alone. The next day, I arrived at the park a few minutes late. Ethan was already there, sitting on a bench by the lake, looking nervous. He was dressed too casually for someone supposedly going through a marital crisis, like he was trying to impress me. He stood up as soon as he saw me. Thanks for coming. Just make it quick, I said. He ran his hand through his hair and exhaled. Lily, I don't love Isabella. I don't even know if I ever did. I rolled my eyes. Yes, you did. And yet you married her. He hesitated. I thought I had to. She was stable, my family loved her, and she cared. But I never felt the way I feel about you. I crossed my arms. Oh, please. You had years to figure that out, and now suddenly, after you've been caught, you're in love with me? He shook his head. No, not suddenly. I've always admired you. You're everything she's not. You take care of yourself, you have a spark. I didn't realize how much I wanted you until I saw you again. I laughed dryly. You know how pathetic that sounds, right? You want me now when your marriage is a disaster? You expect me to be content. His face twisted. I'm not asking you to be flattered. I'm telling you the truth. I should have been with you from the start. I stared at him, not believing my eyes. You're a used car, Ethan. And I don't buy used cars. His mouth dropped open slightly as if he didn't know how to respond. I turned on my heel and walked away. That should have been the end of the conversation. But of course Isabella had one last scene to make. The next morning she showed up at my apartment, banging on the door like a madwoman. The banging was so loud that I thought my neighbors might call the police. I was in no hurry to go over there, hesitating whether to even answer. But I knew she wouldn't leave until she got what she wanted. I opened the door, and there she was, Isabella, disheveled, red-faced, breathing heavily as if she had run here. You really met him? She spat. I leaned against the doorframe. Good morning to you too, Isabella. She shoved her phone in my face. Ethan had texted her. I saw Lily today. I told her everything. I love her, not you. I sighed. Well, at least he's consistent. Isabella let out a sharp, humorless laugh. You think this is funny? You think this is a game? No, Isabella, I replied categorically. I think it's sad. I think it is sad. Your husband doesn't love you, and instead of admitting it, you're here yelling at me like it's my fault. She gritted her teeth. You think you're better than me, don't you? I crossed my arms. I shouldn't think that. You have to. That's why you've spent years trying to destroy me. Something dangerous flashed in her eyes. You've ruined everything. My family, my reputation. I interrupted her. Oh, you ruined your own reputation by lying to everyone about your perfect life. And your husband ruined your marriage by stalking me. I just told the truth. She was shaking, whether from anger or humiliation I couldn't tell. I hate you, she whispered. I smiled. Then stopped showing up at my door. She looked like she was going to slap me. Instead, she turned and walked away. I watched her go, knowing this was not over. She was not going to let this happen. And I was right. The next day she did something I never expected. I thought she would scream, maybe send more angry messages, but I underestimated Isabella's desperation. The next morning I woke up to a barrage of messages from my relatives. Some were confused, some angry. My aunt even called me, her voice frantic. Lily, what's wrong? Isabella says you've been having an affair with Ethan for months. I blinked. What? She's been sending messages. Screenshots. She says you were trying to steal her husband. I almost laughed. Isabella had officially lost it. That's crazy, I said. It was Ethan who was following me. She saw the proof with her own eyes. My aunt hesitated. I know, but she's been telling everyone that you manipulated him, that you seduced him, that... Let me guess, I interjected. She's an innocent victim and I'm the evil cousin who ruined her marriage. My aunt sighed. Lily, just talk to her. Try to make things right before the whole family turns on you. I hung up without answering. There was nothing to fix. Isabella was just grasping at straws, trying to rewrite history to make herself look like the victim. By noon the damage was done. My Instagram was filled with nasty comments from relatives taking her side. My mom called in a panic and said I had to apologize, to keep the peace. But what was the worst part? Ethan wrote me again. I left her. I need to meet you. I sat staring at the screen, feeling nothing but exhaustion. Isabella had lost her mind, Ethan was a miserable mess, and now my family was getting involved. I had only one choice. I had to end this once and for all. So I agreed to meet Ethan. But this time I wasn't going alone. I wouldn't meet Ethan alone. He had already ruined my life, and I knew that whatever he said would not be what I wanted to hear. So I took someone with me, my cousin Daniel. He was not particularly close to Isabella, but he was always the most even-tempered person in the family. If anything went wrong, I needed a witness. I met Ethan at a small cafe downtown. He was already seated at a corner table and looked like a man who had just lost everything, which to be honest he had. His hair was disheveled, his shirt was wrinkled, and he had dark circles under his eyes. When he saw Daniel with me, his face fell. I thought it was just going to be us, he muttered. I sat down. Yeah, I've had enough secrets. Daniel sat back and crossed his arms. Let's hear it, man. What do you want? Ethan exhaled and rubbed his face. I left her. I told her it was over. I told her I love you, Lily. Daniel laughed briefly. Wow. You really do say what's good for you right now, don't you? Ethan ignored him, his eyes fixed on me. I meant what I said, Lily. I've never felt this way about anyone before. I want to be with you. I stared at him for a moment, then leaned forward. Ethan, let me ask you something. If I had answered your messages a month ago, if I had flirted with you, met with you behind Isabella's back, would you have left her then? He hesitated. I don't know. I nodded. Exactly. You never wanted to leave her. You just wanted the thrill, the chase of something new. And now that it's falling apart, you think I'm going to save you. Ethan's jaw clenched. That's not true. It is, I said. You don't love me. You're just running away from the mess you made. And I won't be your escape. His hands clenched into fists. And that's it? You're just going to let me go back to her? I tilted my head. Go back to her? And you left her. That's not my problem. You thought you could play both sides and come out on top, but now you have nothing. And honestly, you deserve it. He looked at me, his face unreadable. Then he laughed bitterly and shook his head. You're just like them. Daniel stood up. Okay, we're done here. I stood up too and grabbed my bag. This time Ethan didn't try to stop me. He just sat and looked at the table, finally realizing that he had no one left. When I got home, I got one last message from Isabella. You won. I hope you're happy. I didn't answer. I had nothing more to say. Because after all, I didn't win. I just walked away.